Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you.
Thank you very much for joining us here on Freeview and Sports Night Live. Before we talk about the runners in the next couple of days, Silviniaco Conti, how is the best chaser in training at the moment?
Yeah, he's come out of Haydock's race really well. Canted every day this week. Yeah, very pleased with him.
And Paul, did the first time cheek pieces, do you think that made a difference, or was it sort of the second run back?
A bit of both, but definitely sharpened him jumping up. He travelled well in the race, and yeah, he'll definitely be keeping them on.
And you've got, in the next couple of days, you've obviously got Irvine, and we was all watching that race at Wincanton and just praying the horse would get up. Presumably there's no problems, and the horse is very well. Yeah,
he was just winded. There was no sort of physical damage. We gave him a few days quiet and then started schooling him. He's done lots of jumping, obviously, since then. He schooled well this morning. He worked nicely yesterday. You could say 3 weeks he's probably quick enough to run. Haven't had a fall, but he's shown no signs of anything being untoward at all.
And over the weekend, obviously, the Hennessy, you've got Rocky Creek, and you've got who had the prep. Well, I don't know if it was a prep run, but certainly behind Roads to Riches at Down Royal and Unionist. How are those two?
Well, Rocky Creek ran really nicely in the Grade 1 there in Down Royal. Hopefully it'll have brought him on as much as it did Silviniaco Conti from Wetherby to Haydock. So if he's improved for that run, he's in there, right in there with the mix. And
we've got a few questions we'll come to in a second, because Rachel's been looking after the people that have posted questions through Twitter. One more in relation to a very impressive winner, Emerging Talent, was at the Open meeting at Cheltenham. How's Emerging Talent, and what's the next sort of plan for Emerging Talent?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he hasn't won yet, but he's run 2 really sound races. Very green and babyish still. We haven't got a definite plan for him at the moment. Try and win a novice hurdle before Christmas. We're not going to over-race him this year, because obviously he's going to be very much a chaser for next autumn.
OK. Rachel?
Thank you very much. Hello, Paul. It's Rachel.
Hi.
We've got a few questions that people at home have tweeted in. So the first one here is from Mato66. Simon Squirrel running tomorrow at Newbury. Yeah. Do you fancy it on debut?
I'm afraid he's not going to run tomorrow now. I took 2 or 3 out tomorrow because the ground was more tested than I thought it would be. I was hoping it might have dried up and it would be, better ground than it was, but because the grounds are tested, he's going to wait. He might get a Cheltenham in a fortnight's time.
Brilliant. We've got another one. This is from Jamie Brownlow. When will we see Black Thunder from his good run at Ascot on Saturday?
He will go to Sandown on Friday. There's an intermediate chase there soon, so he's going to Sandown on Friday.
Fantastic. I like how quickly we're doing this. This is Paul Ferguson. Update on Tara Point, please.
Yes, she goes to Sandown as well next Friday. There's a Grade 2 novices hurdle, 2.5 miles. She was impressive with Exeter, but she's off to Sandown as well.
Fantastic. This is our last question, I promise. This is Jamie Brownlow again. Coming away from horses and prize money, what would you improve or would like to see in the sport?
It's a difficult one. Everyone's got all ideas of what's going on in the run. The fields are quite small at the moment. I suppose everybody wants to see more competitive racing, but I still think, and I've always maintained, there's just too much racing really for the amount of horses probably in training. And I think if the programme book was trimmed up a little bit, things might get more competitive.
I mean, obviously, would you have taken Irvine and challenged maybe the new one or Faheen last week if the Fighting Fifth wasn't there, for example? Because obviously there was talk about the Betfair hurdle squeezing the rotor a little bit.
Look, I mean, you've got to take the opportunities there for the horses. He wouldn't have been ready to run last week anyway because it was too close to Wincanton. But I knew this race was probably going to cut up a little bit because everybody went last weekend. And obviously you've got to remember that people go where the jockey's available as well, because that's a big thing. And obviously Ruby was free last week to go and ride for Hina Ascot, where he might not have been clashed with tomorrow. So there's all sorts of reasons come into it. But I was always going to go to Newcastle, whatever, because it was timing was right.
And finally, Alpha Roth, obviously Ruby was on board last week, and Alpha Roth was superb first run back.
Yeah, I was very pleased with him. Yeah, he's come back nicely. He's in good shape as well, and he's off to Kempton Boxing Day too.
OK. Paul, thank you very much this evening. And the most important thing is that the horses come back safe and sound over the weekend. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Right, OK. We got quick, sharp answers. We know a couple are running on next Friday, which is great.
Yeah.
At least there's no mucking about with Paul. We go straight to the point and answers them. And he must be absolutely over the moon with Silviniaco Conti last week. I mean, we were here sort of saying, not so sure. But you thought the race broke up a little bit, but
I did. I did. There's just something about it. It just doesn't satisfy me really, and I might be wrong. I mean, it's a horse.
You're very hard to be satisfied.
Yeah, I know. It takes a lot, really. It does. But no, it might work out to be fine. It's just you would have liked to seen all the other horses completing the course, to give it some more substance. And I'm just concerned for me that I just think he outstayed Minora in the closing stages on ground where Minora probably wouldn't have liked. And I just thought Minora was really struggling a little bit when really being asked by Richard Johnson in the closing stages, where Silvio Conti was clearly loving it.
Now, with Paul Nicholls, it's becoming Paul Nicholls Saturdays, isn't it? Because you've got Nicky Henderson, who, by his own standards, I mean, we heard today that Sprinter Sacco won't be running the Tingle Creek, Simon Sigg will not be running the Peterborough. So 2 stars are not running. We heard about Side de Grugy. So that division is there for someone else to come on board and maybe take a few wins. Because Side de Grugy, is out as well from January. Sprinter Sacco was that a surprise? Maybe not, from what the trainer was saying, I guess.
No, not really. And I think he's in capable hands, Nicky Henderson. We want to get him back on the track, and he wants it to be absolutely right, as we all do as racing fans. And it's just going to be intriguing this season to see if he is back to his very best. I do think we have to see it. I think, we can't just assume that he's going to come back to his very best. He has had some time off, but fingers crossed, he will be back to his best.